What's interesting about you is you particularly focus in on Americans focus. You're a senior vice president of government affairs for the Americans for Responsible Innovation. Responsible innovation, particularly around AI. And many would say actually the steps taken by the Biden administration, whether it was executive orders, put in place some sort of guardrails. Will they be taken down, Doug, do you think?
That's a great question, Caroline. It seems likely that incoming President Trump will likely repeal the Biden executive order. It's more of a question about whether he can undo some of the things that President Biden has done. A lot of the work that has been sent to the agencies has already been completed. They've taken a lot of tasks and done a lot of research pursuant to the executive order, and that doesn't go away overnight, even if the executive order itself is revoked.
Okay, why don't they go away overnight? They've already been actioned to too further an extent, Doug?
That's right. And President Trump, if he wants to, he can undo some of the work that's been done. He can scrap some of the reports. He can fire some of the people. But a lot of the work itself has already been done. And there's reasons that we believe that the incoming administration may want to keep some of these processes in place. By all accounts, the agencies have done professional work. A lot of it is non-ideological. It's just understanding what AI systems are capable of and how the agency's mandate fits into that. So it seems unlikely that he's going to try to pull everything out root and branch from the beginning. It does seem like he will pick a few items that he really cares about and try to undo that work.
Let's just talk about what therefore could be undone and whether that's actually the right balance in terms of pro-innovation rather than stifling safety.
Sure. It seems more likely than not that the incoming administration is going to undo some of the work that the Biden administration had done around equity and civil rights. I think those topics are very important to the Republican base. And I think that anytime the word equity or civil rights appears in the executive order and the agency's work, the new administration is probably going to try to unwind that.
What does that mean in practice? Ultimately, that makes us all worry about the biases that get put into the systems, or do you think that there will be some manner of self-regulation within the companies that are building these all-powerful large language models now?
It is challenging. And I think a lot of the companies, they welcomed these actions because, we all remember some of the headlines from a few years ago. I think immediately of, Amazon had an internal recruiting tool, which was found to favor men over women because more of the existing employees at Amazon were men. And to their credit, they recognized this and didn't release the tool. There's other stories about, I believe, Apple had a credit card, and at some point it was favoring men over women because of the way the data was trained. I mean, these are terrible headlines for any publicly traded company, and they don't want that. I do think if the federal government itself is not going to do this research and test the systems for these biases, the big companies, particularly the major publicly traded companies, are going to want to do this on their own. And I think there's a lot of duplication and inefficiencies when every company has to do it themselves rather than have federal government do it centrally. But I think that's probably what we'll see.
Okay. What's interesting is if you go back to the first Trump administration, there was actually an executive order there that focused R&D on AI in many ways. So what do you think, from a positive perspective, could be done in a new administration that does perhaps open the world a little bit more to innovation, even if it puts certain worries about bias, civil rights, not within the federal jurisdiction?
That's right, Caroline. And, at ARI, we're fans of the first executive order that President Trump did in the waning days of his administration. The man who led that work, someone named Michael Kratsios, is by all accounts playing a major role in the Trump team's planning for tech policy in the next 4 years. And we're excited to see where that leads. I think that the first executive order went a long way towards, encouraging agencies to understand where AI fit into their work and take proactive steps to try to get ahead of it. And that's something that the Biden administration continued. We think that the Trump administration is likely to continue this, particularly if someone like Mr. Kratsios is in charge of the policy. I think beyond this, we've talked a little bit about China and what that means. I think the Trump administration is likely to go full speed ahead on all things to try to accelerate U.S. innovation and try to hold back China. But there's a lot of policies in the AI space that it's not about simply cutting regulations. You need to be smart. A lot of the export controls that the Biden administration has done, the Trump team could extend. They could try to prevent open weight models from making it to China. And these are all serious regulatory efforts that go well beyond simply cutting regulations and letting industry do whatever it wants.